Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a completely fresh look at a couple of concepts you might think you already know inside and out: truthfulness and trustworthiness. You know, we hear these words thrown around a lot, right? Usually treated like these dusty, outdated moral obligations you learn about in grade school and then immediately forget the second you hit the real world. But actually, scratch that. We are going to completely reframe that idea today. We're going to dive into the actual architecture of integrity and see these concepts as high-value, practical social currencies. They are literally the essential tools for securing your own peace of mind and keeping society from just completely unraveling. So stick with me, because understanding the mechanics of how this all works, it's going to be a real game changer for how you navigate your career and your relationships.
So, let's kick things off with a quick thought experiment. What actually happens in a high-stakes world where nobody trusts anyone? I want you to genuinely visualize the sheer, exhausting chaos of a totally trustless society. Imagine trying to run a business where you're constantly paranoid your partners are stealing from you, or trying to just be friends with someone when every single word they say feels like a manipulation. Without trust, every single transaction requires an insane amount of surveillance. The whole system breaks. Businesses would instantly fail because, well, no credit could exist. Friendships, they'd collapse under all that heavy paranoia. It really is a terrifying thought, but it proves exactly how much we rely on these virtues literally every single minute of the day.
Okay, moving right along to Section 1, defining truth and trust. Let's make sure we're using the exact same vocabulary here before we get into the weeds. Our basic understanding of what it means to be truthful definitely needs a bit of an upgrade. Truthfulness really isn't just about stating cold, hard facts or, being technically accurate just to avoid getting caught in a lie. Look at the second half of that definition right there, being sincere in words, actions, and intentions. That is the magic ingredient. It's this vital sincerity that earns you immediate respect. When your intentions actually match up with your words, you project this undeniable authenticity. People naturally gravitate toward that. They trust you because you signal safety. There's no secret, hidden agenda for them to decode.
Which brings us to trustworthiness. You can think of this as the action-oriented counterpart to truth. If truthfulness is about what you say and your own internal sincerity, trustworthiness is all about what you actually do out in the physical world. Fulfilling responsibilities, keeping promises, protecting what's given to us. It means taking care of things, whether that's a highly sensitive secret, a big project at work, a bunch of money, or just showing up exactly when you said you would. To put it simply, being truthful gets you in the door, but being trustworthy, that is what actually builds the house. It's the physical proof of your character over the long haul.
All right, let's jump to Section 2, the foundation of society, because this isn't just about us as individuals. It scales up in a massive way.
Every single great society completely depends on people who can be trusted. Trust is basically the invisible infrastructure of our daily lives. Think about it like the plumbing or the electrical wiring behind the walls of your house. You literally never think about it when it's working perfectly, right? But the absolute second it breaks down, everything grinds to a massive halt. Every successful relationship, every functioning financial market, every safe neighborhood completely relies on this unseen foundation. We are totally dependent on regular folks choosing to maintain this critical social infrastructure every single day.
Now for Section 3, rewards versus ruin. We really need to talk about the tangible, real-world consequences of the paths we choose here.
Let's look at the incredible contrast. On the one hand, the rewards of honesty are just so deeply grounding. We're talking inner peace, rock-solid confidence, strong relationships, and real long-term success. It is the ultimate long game. When you tell the truth, you never have to burn your energy trying to remember what lies you spun to who. But then, contrast that with the dark side. Dishonesty brings this compounding, high-speed accumulation of stress, paralyzing guilt, broken relationships, and sudden professional ruin. Deception takes constant, tense maintenance. It's like this frantic juggling act that invariably crashes and burns, taking your entire social capital down with it.
And I really want to emphasize the terrifying fragility of this whole dynamic. Think about the sheer gravity of this. A single lie can destroy years of trust. You could spend a decade meticulously building up a pristine reputation, proving your worth day in and day out. But one single, momentary shortcut, one calculated deception, it can instantly shatter all of it. And you know the worst part? Once that glass is broken, you can't just slap some glue on it and call it good. Rebuilding trust is an agonizingly slow process. It takes years, and honestly, sometimes it never really gets completely rebuilt at all.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, real-world integrity. Let's step out of theory mode for a second and look at how this plays out in the wild.
So imagine a business owner facing a massive economic downturn. The pressure to cut corners, maybe secretly lowering product quality or adding some hidden fees, is absolutely immense. But by resisting those shortcuts and choosing absolute transparency with their customers about the tough times they're having, they do something pretty remarkable. They prove their integrity precisely when it costs them the most. And the payoff? They secure fierce, unbreakable brand loyalty. Honesty, especially when it is super painful, creates the kind of sustainable commercial success that no slick marketing campaign could ever buy.
Or take a student facing intense pressure to pass a huge exam. Choosing to grind it out and study over the easy path of cheating highlights a really profound truth. Genuine credibility is something you have to earn, not something you can just steal. Look, if you cheat, the paper might say you succeeded, but deep down your confidence is totally hollow. By refusing to cheat, that student builds legitimate competence and internal resilience. They're making absolutely sure that their future success is built on solid rock, not sand.
Okay, Section 5, Building a Stronger Future. We've seen the stakes, so let's map out the actionable playbook for how we actually pull this off.
What's really great here is we have a highly concrete checklist for building trustworthiness. It totally demystifies the process. Always speaking the truth, keeping your promises, actually admitting when you messed up. These are active, daily choices. It means being responsible with other people's property and resisting that urge to exaggerate a story just to sound a bit cooler. But I want you to look at that very last point. Practice honesty when nobody is watching. That right there, that's the ultimate test. Character isn't some performance you put on for an audience. It's who you are in the dark, entirely alone, when there is zero chance of getting caught.
The reality is, you don't just magically wake up one Tuesday as a highly trustworthy person. It doesn't work like that. Character is built through small daily actions. It's basically the compounding interest of your everyday choices. Just like an athlete builds muscle through thousands of tiny, repetitive reps, your character is forged through these small, deliberate, daily decisions to simply do the right thing day in and day out.
And guys, we absolutely cannot keep this to ourselves. Because kids learn primarily by watching the adults around them, parents and teachers need to follow a very specific sequence to raise a truthful generation. Step 1 is totally non-negotiable. You have to lead by example. Kids have flawless radar for hypocrisy. If you tell them to be honest, but then they hear you lie to get out of a commitment, the lesson is completely lost. From there, we've got to reward honesty, especially when it's hard for them. We need to systematically teach them responsibility for what they're given, and finally, lovingly encourage accountability when they inevitably fall short.
And that brings us to our final thought. Honesty builds trust, trust builds relationships, and strong relationships build a better world. It's such a simple, undeniable progression, and it is the ultimate reason why choosing honesty over a quick, temporary fix isn't just about making yourself feel good. It is quite literally the secret blueprint for a better world. Every single time you speak the truth, you are actively reinforcing that invisible foundation of society we talked about. So the question I want to leave you with today is this. The next time you're backed into a corner and a convenient little shortcut presents itself, are you going to take the exhausting path of deception, or will you step up and choose the profound power of truthfulness?